One of Chevy's weirdest, quirkiest cars they ever made, and when you hit the gas pedal on this one, nothing happens. How could that be? Let's find out what's wrong with this HHR SS. Let's get started.
Really? It's a super sport model?
Yes, this is a 2010 Chevy HHR SS. It is a turbocharged four-cylinder. They're pretty quick. They have pretty good power. I mean, they're not going to blow the doors off of anything, but definitely a strange, quirky car. Today we're going to talk about how cars have moved forward from throttle cables. There is no cable anymore. And how they took a lot of sensors and a lot of things and combined them into one unit. And when it fails, you're not going anywhere. Before we dive into why this thing had no go, let's take a look around this HHR SS.
No, Wizard, the Nova was the no-go back in the day for Chevy. This is the HHR.
Yep, this one has no go. Well, it did anyways. You can see it has a pretty big chin on it. The bumper sticks out quite a ways. There's an intercooler inside of there. And we have some 5-spoke, 18-inch wheels with some yellow calipers. And on the side, you can see denoted SS. And down the side, we can see there's some streaks, some scratches, and some paint rubbing here going on the side. We come around to the back, it says SS Bravo. And the tail lights are a little bit faded. But otherwise, it's in pretty good shape. Let's go ahead and hop under the hood. Here's our 2-liter turbo four-cylinder with about 260 horsepower. It's got pretty good power. You can see that it came in missing the lid here. We're not sure what happened to that. It's actually been here before. We did a plastic canister that's down there on the block. It's just a vacuum reservoir. It's been doing fine, but the issue that arose today is completely different. If you guys remember the PT Cruiser, the sides of it were so inward to this point where it made it actually really hard to work on. It's a common known thing that those things are a nightmare to work on, especially the front of the engine. Luckily on the HHR, they didn't take it that far. There's plenty of room to get to the front and the sides and the rear of the engine. Really, there's no part of the engine you can't get to. We do see the radiator and everything here sticks out pretty far. And down below, inside of there, you can see there's the intercooler inside the bumper. So let's take another interior review. There's one thing that's very interesting about the dash on this that Mrs. Wizard will show you.
So there we go, ladies and gents. I wish I could show you the mileage, but that little screen back there is dead. Nip dead. So I can't tell you what miles this thing has on it. Sorry. But of course the check engine light works. But getting some light back there. Gauge cluster's looking really nice back there. Simple, easy to read, other than, that screen being dead. As we move up, lots of hard plastic going on here, but at least it's clean, it's nice and shiny. Oh, good, good. We've got a Saint riding here with us, and a cute little Wednesday doll, loving it. The screen there has a few cracks and a few little things going on, probably because it's up here in what I call the baker's box, getting roasted and toasted in this Kansas severe weather. At least coming soon, it'll be freezing up there. Let's go around. Again, everything's looking nice and shiny. Love the turbo there on the vent, looking nice. Love that it can spin and put out some nice smells. We have a very easy to use HVAC controls, radio controls. We've got a little tray below, and this is what makes this car at least fun, as weird and quirky as it is. It is a manual transmission. Got a little another tray there, cup holders and knee brakes and more cup holders and little things. Get to our seats. We've got some sunglasses, a little bit of bolster there, and we've got the SSS on the back of the shoulders. And carrying on with that dark gray theme, there we go, got a little bit more going on. I'm not so sure. That's kind of a weird indentation there we're seeing with the light there. It's not broken, it's nothing, it's just kind of a weird little dimple there. Well, the passenger is going to have a bit of an issue, and obviously the owner does know about this and does not need this addressed. It has nothing to do with the acceleration part, but there is no handle for this person to get out. So, they're going to have to be very chivalrous and let the passenger out. Back seat, it's looking really good back here. I have a towel there, so maybe they take Fido here on the road with them. As we get to our headliner, you can see there's a roll bar in the middle there. Kind of, you can see the indentation there. The headliner otherwise looking nice. As we get to the steering wheel, we've got the SS here in the center, got normal buttons on the side. So let's get this up in the air and see what's going on the underneath.
One of the downfalls of having a vehicle that's very low to the ground like this one is hitting parking stalls and things. You can see here that something's been hit into the intercooler. It's not ruptured it, luckily. But you can see a lot of scrapes here that have hit, and also this belly pan that's supposed to be here has been ripped off or came off years ago, or who knows how long ago. So yeah, definitely can impact some important parts. Here's the bottom of our 2-liter turbo. Nothing's leaking, the oil pan is dry, the transaxle is doing good, our CV boots are good, struts dry, sway bar link is good, and the brake pads, about 70% remaining. CV boots are good, sway bar link is good, brakes are about 70% over here, and the strut is not blown, so everything's looking very well there. So other than the dent on the intercooler, everything up in the powertrain area is looking pretty good. Come back to our exhaust. Cats are all intact. You can see that it has like a resonator there. Everything's stock, not been modified. On a normal HHR, you probably wouldn't see this yellow bar here, but this one is kind of like improves the stiffness of this track bar. Oh, I heard some looseness there. Oh, wow. These bolts aren't even tight. Let me check the other side. No, nothing there. Let me check the wheels real quick, and we'll get a ratchet and tighten those up. So these springs are pretty well compressed. You can see it's been lowered quite a bit. Most of the coils are touching. It does have some Bilsteins on it. And the pads are about 50% in the rear. Nothing leaking from the shocks. Nice thing about this stabilizer bar is it's blocking any kind of impact to our charcoal canister, which is just hanging down right here. We'll check this wheel out, 50% on the brakes. Shock is not blown. I don't see any damage over there. Let me go grab a ratchet real quick, and we'll just take care of that while we're here. All right, looks like an 18 millimeter. It's tight. Wizard foot-pounds, there we go.
That was really loose.
Yeah, no more noise. Let me double check this other side. Yeah, it needed a little tightening too. Well, there you go. No charge. Tightened up those bolts and no more rattling sway bar. Let me put this away and we'll finish out our inspection. So our exhaust is intact. You don't see the spare because it's up there inside of the wheel well. Otherwise, I don't see any serious issues. Let's check the date codes on the tires. So we can see here, 3 of 23. So these are pretty new. They got a lot of life left in them. Let's get this thing on the ground. Talk about this pesky throttle issue. So the HHR came in on a tow truck. You couldn't drive it. If you hit the gas, nothing would happen. And it had codes in the ECM pertaining to something going on with the throttle body. Something had failed internally. I did check Identifix, and I was thinking I might see 10 or 20 failures. I saw 400 failures. So obviously very common with this engine package. Let me show you how we checked to verify what's going on with the scan tool. So we got our handy dandy Autel MS906 out. We'll go to throttle actuator control. So we have all this data listed. There's accelerator, pedal position sensor indicated. There's the sensors, there's throttle position, desired angle, and then the actual angle. So let's go ahead and click that. We only want to look at those items. I don't have the engine running, but I'm just going to touch the gas pedal with the key on. We'll see these values change. Everything's matching, roughly. 36, 37, 47, 47. Very, very close to one another. As I let off the pedal, the numbers get smaller. And when I go again, it gets bigger. And agree and agree. It's saying that the sensors with the gas pedal and the throttle body agree everything is happy. So this has been repaired. We've got a new throttle body in, but this is what we should see on a healthy car. Now before we replaced it, we saw that they did not agree and that it would have a desired angle of so many degrees, but the actual would be 0. It just refused to move. What we end up finding, Danielson did the diagnosis and he found the throttle body had failed. Now let's talk about that. I've actually had an argument with a few customers in the past that are just not aware of the technologies and the advancements in cars, which electronic throttle bodies are nothing new, but to some people they are new because they just never heard of such a thing. There are some people that think that there is still a cable connected to the gas pedal. Let's head on over to April from Hoovie's Garage, or April's Garage, GNX. I'll show you how it used to be. So here we can see a physical cable connected. It still has a throttle body, but when you hit the gas, it pulls a cable and actually manipulates the throttle valve. And electronically it has a sensor that if it goes bad, you can just replace the sensor because it just unbolts. But everything's pretty much mechanical on here except for this sensor. Most, if not all, cars today have completely ditched that whole idea. We don't even have that anymore. It's all 100% electronic. Let's head on over back to the HHR. All right, I've gotten several emails and I've actually had people stop in and visit the shop that are high school shop teachers. And they say one day a week or sometimes a couple times a month, they have the students watch Car Wizard videos. So this is for you guys out there that are watching. I'm going to demonstrate kind of the whole idea of electronic throttle control. So here's our gas pedal. There's no cables going to it. There's no linkages. There's no rods.
Wizard, where did you get that? Did you get that off my car?
No, I had one laying around.
Really? Okay, good. I was hoping you weren't going to, strand me here.
No, I didn't take it off your car. There's an electronic potentiometer sensors inside of this little box. And look, wires. So when you hit the gas, it just moves electronics. In today's modern cars, the only thing connecting your engine to the gas pedal is electronic wires. There's not even a physical connection. There's nothing, just wires. Here's our throttle body. And again, you can see where wires plug in. So your gas pedal runs to either a throttle control module or the ECM itself. And then from there, the wiring goes to our throttle body. So what was happening on this HHR is that we would hit the gas, the computer would realize we are hitting the gas, it would say, okay, I see that you moved to 30 degrees, I'll go ahead and move the throttle to 30 degrees. And then it would use these electronic pins to get a reading, and it said, uh-oh, it's not moving, something's wrong. And then it went into limp mode, it threw on the check engine lights, started running terrible. I've actually got, this is the old one off the HHR. I want to show you inside of it, there's no cables or anything. It's all electronic. So in this box right here, which is sealed, you can't get into it, is the throttle position sensor. Once you remove this off of here, we can see there's a motor right here. These are the two terminals for the motor. Here's the actual electric motor. So when you hit the gas, what's actually opening the throttle is an electric motor right here. And let me demonstrate that. You guys see that? So if you were able to hook this up to the gas pedal in real time through electronics, as you hit the gas pedal more and more, this would open more and more as well.
So Wizard, what are you spinning down there?
This is the throttle valve. So that throttle valve is pretty much the same on the GNX we just saw. It's just a throttle valve. The only difference is we're no longer using cables or rods or linkages connected to a gas pedal to operate it. We're using an electric motor and full 100% electronics. There is a throttle position sensor inside this little plate that can go bad, which is what's happened to this one. It failed. You can actually hear it. It's just broken inside of there. So the computer said, where are we at with the degrees throttle body? And the throttle body said, I don't know. I have no idea. And it said, okay, then we can't let the driver drive anymore. This is dangerous. And it went into limp mode. It's designed to do that on purpose, so if something does go wrong, you don't accidentally run into a wall or do something dangerous accidentally. I've had customers argue tooth and nail with me. I got a code for a throttle position sensor and say, well, you're going to have to buy the whole new throttle body. When they make these, they're sealed. You can't take it apart. You'll end up damaging it by trying to take it apart. Oh, no, 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 the throttle position sensor is separate. No, 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 don't you try to pull the wool over my eyes. I actually had a guy argue with me. I had one of these laying around. I took it apart and showed it to him, and he got mad. He said, why are they doing this stuff? Well, okay, the argument is no longer there anymore. You don't just replace bits and pieces on these. In fact, it's like $200 or $300 for a new throttle body. It's not like it's thousands and thousands of dollars. Why would you even mess with it? So this one's bad. It's going to be going in the scrap metal bin. There's really nothing I can use off of it. This sensor's dead. We have a new one installed on the HHR. We did have to use the scan tool to recalibrate it so it knows where it's going, where it's supposed to be, and it's happy. No more codes. So you're probably wondering, where is the throttle body located on the HHR? We saw on the GNX on April's car that it's basically on top of the engine. It's right there, easy to get to. It's not so easy on the HHR. So here's our intake manifold, and I've got right here, you can see I'm touching the back side of the throttle body right here. So it's kind of underneath, kind of hard to get to. So the throttle body is held on with 4 bolts, and it's really not hard once you get the bolts loose to just pull it out. But to get to that point, there's pipes and things all in the way. It wasn't just some 5-minute job. Danielson was over here trying to figure out how to get his wrenches, how to get his tools and in there, and it took a little bit of time. But the cost of the throttle body, some of them can be as much as $400, $300 to $400 range. You got time to reprogram it, you got time to diagnose it, and the time to replace it, and you can be anywhere between $700 and $900. It's not super expensive, but it's not cheap either. But when you're in the situation like this HHR is, you pretty much have to fix it because you're literally going nowhere until you do. So it is fixed, it's happy. Danielson has road tested it 4 or 5 times. It's happy, no codes, good power, good boost. We're back in business again. All because of that clanky little throttle position sensor was broken. And even if you tried to look for that sensor by itself, there are none. You can't buy them because you just buy the throttle body. So I definitely wanted to get a video out there to you guys to show you how it seems like the end of the world. Your car won't go anywhere. You push the gas, nothing happens. You're like, oh my God, the engine's toast, something terrible. And you lose sleep over it, and sometimes you get lucky. Although it wasn't super cheap, it wasn't $4,000 or $5,000 or $6,000. This customer was very happy. He was like, okay, I thought my engine was toast, but I'm glad to hear that you can replace that and be back in business, and that's exactly what we did. So we've taken the SS model from super slow to super sport again. So now it has plenty of power. 260 horsepower is pretty good power. I mean, it's not like it's gonna, like I said, not gonna blow the doors off of people, but it's pretty quick, it's pretty fun. Now, is the HHR a good car? It's about middle of the road. They're not terrible trash, but they're not great either. This one's obviously more oriented towards sportiness and have fun and handling and whatnot, and it does that very well. But if I were looking for a vehicle and I needed one for a family, an HHR, it could fit the bill if it's within your budget. That's all you can afford. Don't expect it to be a Toyota, but it's probably not going to be really junky Hyundai or Kia either. So yes, they can be okay. Make sure to get a pre-purchase inspection before you purchase any car, because the best rated cars in the world can still be ran into the ground by somebody who didn't maintain squat, and now you're left with a lemon. So if you're curious what kind of tools we use to work on this HHR SS or any other car in the shop, check our Amazon affiliates link in the description below. A lot of the tools we use every day are listed for sale there. They're tried, true, and proven. And if you purchase any of them, we get a small cut, and we really appreciate it. Make sure to hit the subscribe button before you go and hit the notification bell, because there's many more cars to come through the shop all the next 3 or 4 weeks. Thanks for watching.